Hey everybody, welcome to this broadcast. My name is Gayle Zientek. I would say good day because I don't know if you're coming to watch this in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and maybe it's in the middle of the night. But when you're trying to hard to sleep and you want to learn about how to build your business by referral, I've got two very special guests with me today. These are friends in the real estate profession that I've met over the years. I've got Linda Zyla. Linda, you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And I have Chip Barkel.
Hi there. Saying hello from Toronto.
Awesome. And Linda, where are you saying hello from today?
I am saying hello from Valparaiso, Indiana.
So we're going to share a PowerPoint. Each of us are going to share some ideas on how you can help to grow your business. And we're going to share with you what's worked for us in the last few years. Now, let me switch over. I'm going to share my screen and go to the PowerPoint so that you can see. Here we go. I'm going to start the slideshow from the beginning. All right. Let me move our little faces up off to the side. And here we go. We're going to be talking about fueling your real estate business with SendOutCards. Like I mentioned, I've got Chip Barkel, who's a senior manager with SendOutCards. He's a realtor from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And Linda Zyla is a realtor from Valparaiso, Indiana. Each of them are senior managers with SendOutCards. I am an executive distributor with SendOutCards and a broker owner. So this is a little bit about me. I'm a broker owner of Network Team Homes Realty in Portage, Michigan. I've been a realtor since 2004. My husband, Steve, joined me in 2006. Our business has been 100% referral since 2011, closing about 50 homes a year. I'm the current 2017 Realtor of the Year for the Greater Kalamazoo Association of Realtors. I'm a master relationship marketing trainer with the company of SendOutCards and a senior executive distributor. Eagles Nest member multiple times, 2014 and 15 SendOutCards Circle of Excellence Award winner, and 2016 SendOutCards nominee for Distributor of the Year. And it's my pleasure to be here with you today, and I want to introduce to you Linda Zyla, who's a full-time realtor since 2005. She's licensed in both Florida and Indiana. Excuse me. She's a multiple outstanding customer service award winner. Joined SendOutCards in May of 2014. She uses SendOutCards as an only source of marketing and promotion, and she's going to share with you ideas on what that looks like. A majority of Linda's clients are referrals and past clients, and Linda is a senior manager with SendOutCards, well on her way up because she shares this with everyone she knows, and she's an exceptional teacher and coach. Linda learned that relationship business looks very different from a transactional business, and in today's mindset and world, I think that's really important to pay attention to. We've got Chip. Chip is from, like I mentioned, he works the luxury real estate market in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Chip started using SendOutCards early in his career, excuse me, I apologize, and saw a surge in leads from people he sent cards to. Chip's got some incredible stories, and I can't wait for you to hear them. Chip promoted and has promoted to manager and senior manager and is quickly moving towards executive. Chip has experienced outstanding ROI and is excited to share his strategy today. So Chip, I'm going to turn this over to you, and I'm going to mute myself out. So Linda, if you mute yourself out, I'll mute myself out. Chip, take it away and share with us your ideas.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gayle. Nice to chat with everyone. When I first got into SendOutCards, I heard about Promptings. They have a Promptings Academy that they hold sessions several times a year, both in the US and Canada, and around the world, really, Australia, Singapore. And I wasn't sure what a prompting was. It's an intuitive thought, but it's an intuitive thought that you take action on. So there's an inner prompting and an outer prompting. Inner prompting represents who you are. So you might think of someone, but unless you do something about that, nothing will come of it. It's nice to think of people, but it's even better to do something about it. So inner prompting represents who you are. Outer prompting represents what you do with who you are. And I kind of alluded to taking action. SendOutCards is all about creating new relationships and enhancing existing relationships. People often ask me, well, who do you send cards to? And my short answer is everyone. There's everyone's fair game. You know, nice to meet you. It's one thing to take a business card from someone. It's another thing for you to follow up with a card saying, it was really nice to meet you on Tuesday at the BNI or whatever the event was. I look forward to getting to know you better and possibly sharing business with you. That really takes it to a whole different level. And you know, your existing relationships, whether they're personal or business, we can always improve and we can always raise those to a higher level. It's really about appreciation. If you want to attract appreciation for what you do, then you should be moving through your life appreciating and complimenting others. You know, sort of that basic do as to others as you would have them do to you. It's really the same thing. So people often say, well, what kind of cards do you send? Thank you, nice to meet you, haven't seen you in a while, happy anniversary. Unfortunately, sympathy cards, I've had to send too many of those this year. Congratulations, happy birthday. This is just a few of the occasions. I had a prompting before I even knew it. I knew what the word meant. It was right after I started with SendOutCards. I was driving, actually my first week or two, I'd have to look up the date. I was driving down the street of an elderly neighbor a few streets away, my farm area. It was March, it was cold, but you know, one of those nice sunny days. The calendar says it's spring, but in Toronto, it's not, you're not in the garden. But this elderly woman loves gardening. She's in the garden 5-6 hours a day during the summer. So I thought, I had a prompting. I thought I'm going to send her a happy spring card. The idea that we'll soon be in the garden. And actually I did, forgot I did look up the date. It was 19 days after I started with SendOutCards. So it was my first few weeks. So I sent her the happy spring card, and she's all about squash. We've been talking about gardening, and I mentioned a garden on my street that grows vegetables, and I mentioned squash, and she said, Hubbard squash? And I said, well, I don't know. I'd never heard of Hubbard squash. She loves Hubbard squash, and it was like, as far as she's concerned, the best thing since sliced bread. So I decided to put a squash plant on the front of her card. It's important to make it personal about them. It's not about me. I know she's into squash and Hubbard squash, so I just put the squash plant, and on the inside, a picture of a Hubbard squash. Thank you for introducing me to Hubbard squash and celebration, happy spring. And even found a little children's ditty on the internet about the Hubbard squash, if you can believe that. So the internet's a great resource. Anyway, she called me and thanked me profusely. And I said, well, I'm really glad that you liked the card. And she said, no, I loved it. And then at the end of the conversation, she said, by the way, a realtor knocked on my door and they want to buy my house for $1.9 million for a builder as a teardown, so lot value. And I said, well, I'll be honest with you. It's not a bad price, but we don't know whether it's the best price. And the only way we can find that out is by marketing your home appropriately and bringing as many people to the table as possible, to find out what the market really will bear. Even if you only end up getting $50,000 more, where I come from, $50,000 is a lot of money. So she said, well, we've never sold a house before. We've been here 60 years almost, and we don't really know what's involved. Would you come and talk to my husband and me? I said, absolutely. So I went over and talked to them, explained sort of the process and my services, and followed up with a card, a thank you card, with her house on the front that basically said, thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain my services, listing strategies, and the selling process last week. Information's power, call on me anytime. When the time comes, I'd be honored to represent you. So that was great. And she again called me back. And that's the best thing about SendOutCards, one of the best, is that they will call you. You're not chasing after them to say, you're going to sell your house, you're going to sell your house. So she called to thank me, and she said, that is such a beautiful picture of our house. Did you take that? I said, yeah. I said, well, can I get some copies? Absolutely. So again, it was another reason to go and visit her and bring her copies. I looked up the date of her house sale, and it was July. So I did another card as kind of a happy anniversary card for 60 years in her house. And because she's all about her gardens, I featured her gardens profusely. I'd be driving down the street and they'd be in the garden, so I'd stop and chat. And one day, it was in June, and everything was really beautiful. I knew I was going to be doing this card. So I said to her, your garden looks so beautiful, I'm going to take some pictures. And then I said, well, I've got to take a picture of you and your husband. And so I used those pictures for her card and just said, Audrey and Earl, wanted to say congratulations on 60 years in your home at 210 Dunview. Wow, what changes you've seen in 6 decades. Enjoy all of your memories. I want to get across the idea that, they'll take their memories with them. So her garden was, we ended up, that card is the one that sealed the deal. She told me that when they come to my door now, I tell them, when I am ready to sell, I will, I already have a realtor. And her grandson told me she brought the card to a family get-together and was showing everybody, look what my realtor sent me. So anyway, I ended up selling her house for $2.25 million. And it was the same, so it was $350,000 more than the original 1.9 offer. And it was the same realtor that brought the 2.25 offer that had brought the 1.9. So that was certainly worth that initial $1.17 card that I sent her. That if I hadn't sent that first card saying Happy Spring, she probably would have accepted the 1.9 offer and thought, you know what, we did great. We bought 1956 for less than $15,000. We sold for 1.9. Isn't that wonderful? Well, they did even better. And for me, that represented about a $40,000 commission. Again, not bad ROI for $1.17. And that will pay for my points for me sending cards for the next 84 years. I laughingly say, after that, I'm on my own. Another story that I have is an expired listing, which was also a referral. They had been on the market for 6 months for around $2.5 million. And they weren't getting any buyers, and I think they had an offer that wasn't very good. So she said, would you come out and just have a look and talk to us? So I went out, because it was a 27-acre rural property. She took us for a ride on her ATV to show us the property. And I asked her husband, would you take a picture with my phone? So I put that on the front of the card. And then behind the house, there was this beautiful pond. It really was a lovely property. It had been a custom home. It had only been built 2 years prior. So I took lots of pictures, fully knowing that, probably we'll get this listing. That's kind of where I was going with it. I asked them a couple things came out in the conversation. They bought the property because of the privacy, and it really was private. And I asked her who her designer was because everything was so beautifully done, and she kind of looked at me puzzled and said, we didn't use a designer. We just bought all the finishes ourselves. So in the card, I just said, Peter and Kathy, thank you for showing us your beautiful home and property. It really is a world unto itself, the privacy. Your design and decor will shine through in the video and photos. It was a real treat for both of us, Jill and Chip. Then on the back of the card, the next, because this was a 3-panel card, I had commented on her wallpaper, and I said, it's almost like a William Morris print. It's really interesting. And she said, that's exactly what it is. I can't believe you knew that. And so obviously I didn't have a picture of her wallpaper. So I went on the internet, found a William Morris print. I knew she would make the connection. I wanted to make it personal about them and, show that I was listening and show that I was present with them. So about 3 weeks later, they called and said, why don't you come up and have a chat? They really didn't want to list again. They had been on the market from April till October. Now it was October 20th. And she said, winter is coming. So it's rural. They get snow early. Why don't we wait till spring? And I said, well, we could have a mild fall. I think we have about a 6-week window. And we could sell your house in that 6 weeks. So we listed it. Again, I didn't want to overpromise, so I just said thank you. We're both very excited about the possibility of helping you find the right buyer. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to join you in the journey. So I didn't want to sort of say we're going to get this thing sold tomorrow. And then, so I sent that. And then when I was there for the open house, she went for a walk and brought these leaves back and said, aren't these beautiful? So I laid them out on the kitchen counter and took some pictures. And I thought, her birthday's in November. that will be her birthday card. So anybody else would just look at the card and say, well, there are a bunch of leaves, but she knows they're her leaves. So I just happy birthday. And on the inside of the card, that's that wallpaper we were talking about. When I was there for the open house, I took a picture of the wallpaper, and then afterwards thought, I'll put it in the card. Why not? Again, making it about her. People often say, what do you say in your cards to get such, success? Well, sometimes I just say happy birthday, because if you use really personal photographs, you don't really have to say much else. We, in fact, did sell the house in 6 weeks by December 1st or the first week of December. We had 2 offers. They were thrilled with what they got. And that commission was about $20,000 or so. Again, 44 years of points for me. So I kind of like to figure out, to just play a game to say, well, how much points would that buy? So obviously it'll keep me in business and send out cards for a while.
Chip, thank you so much for sharing these stories. And I hope that our listeners took away the incredible opportunity to listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and if we use those appropriately, it can take us far in life. And you are an incredible master of listening to people, observing what they say in their surroundings, and giving it back to them. And I applaud you for just sharing these couple stories and the success it brought in building the relationships with these people through visual learning, sending cards, acknowledging people, and incredible. I'm just really proud of you for what you do in the business of real estate and how you treat people, and your use of SendOutCards is exemplary. So thank you so much for sharing. And now I'm really excited to bring Linda on. Linda, like I mentioned, the full-time realtor since 2005. I actually met Linda when I did a webinar. I don't even know, I guess it was about 4 years ago. It was probably in April of 2014 when I did a webinar, and I was talking about SendOutCards with my good friend Scott Hudspeth. And afterwards, Linda was one of the people that reached out and signed up for SendOutCards, and she just wanted to start sending cards to her clients. And let me tell you, Linda has been a master at building relationships, of also scrolling through social media, looking for opportunities to celebrate people, putting them on a card, and solidifying the relationships that she has. So Linda, I'm going to put myself on mute, and I'm going to welcome you to this call, and I'm excited for you to share with the audience some of your experiences and what you do with SendOutCards.
Well, thank you so much, Gayle, for that lovely introduction. Yes, I've been using SendOutCards for almost 4 years now, and the longer I use it, the more I find ways to really incorporate it in my business. One point I really want to make is I don't do any other marketing, advertising. I don't buy ads in homes and lifestyle magazines. I don't pay Zyla. Everything I do is just through SendOutCards. It's an amazing time saver, and the cards are so personal. People really enjoy receiving them. So the first card I want to talk about is, we all have had open houses for one reason or another, whether it's a new construction or this particular house that I did this card for was a very unique property. And so I hosted an open house. And one of the things that we miss is we need to follow up with thank you for attending the open house card. We never know where people are, because a lot of people, when they attend open houses, they say, oh, I just came because I live in the neighborhood, or my friend told me about it. They always want to pretend like they're not looking for houses. So when they get a simple thank you for attending, it reconnects you back to them attending the open house, and you never know where that might go. So I found this to be very beneficial, just thanking them for their attendance. And then another card that I love to send is listing appointments. If you've been in real estate at all, like this year, it's been very competitive because our inventory is low. And so when you go on a listing appointment, chances are there's multiple people vying to get that listing. One of the things I love is the ability to send a card directly from my phone. So SendOutCards, you can send it from a tablet, You can send it from a computer, or you can send it from your smartphone. So I already have this card in a campaign. I simply, while I'm in the driveway after the appointment, just send the card from the campaign feature. We'll talk about that more. Another card that I like to send is a thank you for a referral. So in real estate, I've been very lucky and blessed that multiple people have referred business to me. We need to always celebrate and appreciate that. So when I do get a referral from anyone, I don't care if it's a business colleague or somebody that cuts my hair, I right away send them a thank you for that referral card. One of my favorite cards to send is the Happy Home Anniversary card. So when I first started sending cards, I would put their home on the front. But let's be realistic. Not every home we sell is postcard perfect. So the next year I found a home watercolor picture that I've been using on the front of my cards. So every year I pick a different color picture for their home anniversary card, and then you can see what's the inside of the card. And they've been very well received. And I always send them with either a 2-pack of brownies or the sea salt caramels. And this is a true story. I had a client that I ran into in a local store, and she said, "Oh, I can't wait for July." And I'm like, "Why?" And she said, "So we can get some brownies." And I said, "You don't have to wait till July." So I took a picture and we made a card real quick in the store on my smartphone, and I sent her a card with some brownies. Another card that I like to send is a thank you for buying with me, purchasing a home with me. And I usually am sending this from the closing table. In Indiana, we have to attend our closings. So this is another campaign card. I already have it loaded in my system. While they're going through the paperwork, the title representatives, I can simply send this card to them, reminding them how much I appreciate them, and it was nice doing business with them. Also, sellers, I like to send a different card to my sellers saying, "Thank you again for the opportunity to serve them. I'm grateful to work with outstanding clients like you." Never forget to say thank you. The more you say it and the more you show appreciation, it will appreciate your business. This is one of my favorite cards. So every Thanksgiving, I send out a Thanksgiving card to my clients. Again, I want to show that I'm grateful and I appreciate them. So I created this card, and this just went out to hundreds of past clients of mine. And this was the card, again, telling them I greatly appreciate doing business with them. I'm not asking them for business. I'm not talking about real estate. I'm just saying I appreciate doing business with you. And this is all a campaign card. So campaigns is something that I find really unique. Any card that you're going to send more than once, you can use in a campaign. So I create the card and save it in my cards, in SendOutCards, and then I create a campaign for it. So once I create a campaign, I name it. I usually name it like 2017 Buy or Close, 2017 Happy Birthday. And then I can send that from either you can send it from your Android phone or your iPhone. And it's really simple. So if you look at the graphic on the screen, on the left side is the Android, and where it's circled at the top is where you access the campaigns. And on the right side is the iOS, your iPhone, and on the bottom of the screen is where you would access your campaign. So you just click on that, choose which campaign you want to send, and then type in the name and address of the person you're sending it to. Very simple. One of the things that I want to remind you, if you create a campaign, like for my Thanksgiving one that I'm going to send to past clients, first you create a campaign in the Create a Campaign section of SendOutCards and save it. You can attach a gift card, or just send the card. And then when you're ready to send, you send it from your contact manager. So you can send it to one person, just find a contact, and I could send it to, say, Chip or Gayle. Or I can choose a group. So I have a group for like past clients, sellers that are going to sell in 2018, and I can send that card to the entire group very quickly. Finally, for people that don't understand the impact of the cards, So in real estate, I have lots of people that say, oh, my husband's going to retire next year. We're going to sell our house and so forth. So I always keep those lists as seller prospects. So in January of 2017, the white card with the black house, I sent that out to all my prospects for 2017 that told me they wanted to sell their house. And I got a call to list a house. So I went and we did the paperwork, and then I was taking pictures. And on the bottom of the right, you can see I was in the laundry room, and there was a bulletin board. And on the bulletin board was the card I had sent probably about 7 months prior. So that really touched my heart, and it shows the impact of the cards. So I'm very thankful for SendOutCards. It has changed my business tremendously.
Thank you so much, Linda. I love what you said. Now, you have to agree with me. Linda is a master at creating campaigns that allow you to send out your cards very quickly. And I loved how she said, not every home is postcard perfect. And the card that you showed there, Linda, was amazing. And anybody would like to get a card like that. And the sentiment that they have is, even if their home isn't postcard perfect, but the sentiment of that card is, wow, it's my home and it's perfect. So I loved how you shared the impromptu card and brownies with your client. See, you having this cell phone and having that app on there and allowing you to very quickly bless somebody, and it doesn't matter. It's like, this is my marketing tool, but you know what? It's more than that. It's my relationship connector. So if you're with a client in the store and they mention that they love getting brownies, like, do it like Linda did right now. And what you appreciate appreciates. Linda, you're so good at sharing gratitude and letting people know how much they mean to you. And I know that's why you're getting back in your life what you send out. So I love how you use campaigns. Very, very, very cool. So now I'm going to just go and I'm going to share a story. I'm going to share a story about habits, because I think what you'll learn in this business, if you are consistent at whatever it is you do, it's going to lead to success. I've been with SendOutCards for 10.5 years. Started in May of 2007. So I'm going to just share a little bit of my story. I received an unexpected card in the mail from someone I didn't know. I was at a networking event. And when I received this card, I paused in my day as I opened it and I said, wow, how did they do this card? And so when I met with Frank and he showed me how to use SendOutCards, here's another thing that it solved. We're always looking for problem solvers, right? So SendOutCards solved the problem for me. It solved the fact that I was going to be able to now have a contact manager where I could keep all of my buyers and sellers, my family, my friends, all my contacts in one place. And I was going to be able to use this amazing system to create custom cards one at a time. I didn't have to order 50 or 100 or even 25. I saw a picture. I wanted to celebrate one person. It was the same price as if I, bought 50. I started to use SendOutCards from 2008 to 2011. The market in Michigan was crappy, like it was throughout most of the United States. But here's what we did. During that time, we had a lot of time on our hands, so we focused on our relationships, and we grew our referral business from 35% to 100%. And since 2012, when we opened up our own company in November of 2012, we had closed about 50 plus homes a year by referral. And it's really all about consistency. I've sent cards every single day for the last 10.5 years to celebrate others, to reach out in kindness, and just to become memorable. So here's the thing. If you become memorable, your life, your business will change. If people know who you are, they know what you do, they know how to find you, and they trust you, business will always be there. So I'm going to just share a story in closing for this about the habit I got into from the beginning, sending at least one card every day without expecting anything in return. And my husband and I attended a networking event, and I sent this card to the winners of the Taste of the Chamber. And I didn't know anybody in these pictures. I pulled their business card off the table, And I sent this card to Park Street Market. And what I didn't know was that it was going to have such an impact. So Kiara, 5 days later, called me and said, thank you for the card. I see you're a realtor. What you don't know about us is our family's looking to move from the east side of the state and wondering if maybe we could get together, see if we could work together. So here's what we did. We met with them. This is Kiara and Eva. They weren't married at the time. This is the house they closed on back 12/12/12. Foreclosed home. They got married in 2013. They went on the last few years to have 2 children. And then in 2016, we sold this house, and then they bought a home that they dreamed of owning. But remember, I told you that he told me he had brothers and sisters. And so here's what happened over the course of a few years. His brother bought a home, and then his sister and her husband bought this home. Her husband referred us to a couple that they knew moving to Kalamazoo. Mom and Dad bought a home so they could be close to the family. Kiara referred us to his friend Kevin, who listed and sold this home with us. And I clicked the wrong slide, so we'll go back. This is the family. We've been invited to weddings. This was baby sister Zyla and Douglas's wedding. We've closed on over 9 homes since 2011. We've generated $70,000 in income, but the relationships we've made with this family are priceless. Just 2 years ago, Douglas and Zyla got married, and about 3 or 4 months ago, March of this year, they sat and signed on papers for their very first home. And then just recently, they've had a baby girl. And I say one card led to all this, but you guys, if I showed you the action log of how we've communicated with this family over the past 6-7 years, you would realize that it's not just one card. It's sending the holiday cards. It's going the extra mile and reaching out in kindness when you see pictures on Facebook or they text you pictures of the brand new baby. These are what you do to solidify the relationships that you have in making a difference in the lives of other people. So I hope you enjoyed this little webinar we brought to you today so that you could learn a better way to build your business. Maybe an easier way to connect with people on a more personal level, which is what you can do with SendOutCards. So I'm going to open it up and have Chip and Linda, why don't you give us one last word of advice and we'll get out of here.
Thank you very much, Gayle. One thing that I found when I started, people said, date your cards. And I was like, why? Because people never throw them away. And I was a little skeptical of that. I thought it's a greeting card, but that's been my experience. So often I'll go into a home like that house, the 27 acres, all 3 cards 3 months later were still on display on the television. Somebody else I sent a card to is just a young guy, 25-year-old realtor. He told me, a year and a half later, every time someone comes into my office, they look at your card and comment on it. And I thought, oh, it's still in your office. And then another person who's an author, I sent her 3 cards when she published a book. She invited me to a book signing and then congratulating her on an award. So 3 cards in about 6 months. A few months later, she called me and said, those cards are so personal. I just love them. And for the longest time, one sat in my office and the other one sat in my hall table. But now I carry them around in my purse so I can show people. I thought, who does that with real estate stuff? So there's real power when you hit people with an emotional, personal card that's about them. You get a card that has your picture on the front, you're not going to throw that card away. You're going to hold on to it. So thank you very much, Gayle. It was a fun day to do a webinar.
Thanks, Chip. Linda?
Thanks again for having me on, Gayle. One thing that you've taught me and many others in SendOutCards is really focus on the meaning, what you're doing. And so when I write in my cards, my messages, it's like I'm speaking to you. It's not really hard to think of what would I write. If I was to call you and say, Gayle, congratulations on that new home, I know what I would tell you. So that's what I put in my cards. But the thing is, it is personal. And they do keep the cards. And I've never had anyone. People ask me all the time, what do you mean? You use their Facebook photo? I said, yeah, if it's in Facebook or whatever, it's public information. If they have it open to the public. So here's the final story. I saw a client post a picture of her daughter that was 2 dancing around in the living room. But on the fireplace was a card that I had sent them. So the card, they haven't thrown the card away, and it was like 3 years old. And that client just called me last week to sell their house again. So it's just wonderful. It does build relationships. It's more than just a sale. They know that you truly care about them as a family or an individual. So I'm very thankful to be using SendOutCards.
Thank you, Linda. And we'll just close with the Maya Angelou quote, because Linda, you just said it best. It's not what you do. It's not what you say. It really is how you make other people feel. And nobody gets print pictures anymore. Everything's digital. Everything's online. And when they get a card or an image that they can hold in their hand, it's tangible. And the fact that 3 years later, she still had that card on the mantle of the fireplace is incredible. So I want to let you know, get back with the person who shared this video with you and get started with SendOutCards today. There's lots and lots of people out there that are very versed and very helpful in helping you get started to get on this journey of relationship marketing, to make a difference, reach out in kindness, create top of mind awareness through others, and do the business that you really desire. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Chip, for being here. And we're extremely excited to share SendOutCards with you today.